leg. Alright. Let's get started. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hi guys, and hello from nowhere. I am Nada, and we are on part 2 of drawing a frog. Do I like frogs? No. No, I don't. Will I draw this frog? Yes. Yes, I will. But I will openly admit, I have made an oopsie poodles on the layering, so I'm having to kind of fudge around that. But in the meantime, moving forward, I'm going to add a layer. And then I'm going to actually get my pen. Pen. So that way I can actually... I'm actually going to start on the belly. I'm going to get the underbelly down here first. So this is all kind of a purpley warm tone because, you know, that's where the inner girly bits of the thing is. Meanwhile, over here is very pink. Very pink. Like the strawberry pink. So, we're going to go over here. Like this part of the leg is very pink. And of course it fades out into a lighter color. And then this over here is actually more of a bubblegum pink. Kind of like here. Well, yeah. There. Just a hint lighter. Sort of. I really wish I could sometimes like pick my colors from this, but what are you gonna do? So this is actually pretty pink over here. Go back to that color. And we got some shadow going on over here behind the foot. We're gonna spin that dial a little bit over here because I do want some warm. It's very subtle. Swing this around into the yellows. Kind of like that pinky color. And then just kind of blend it. Blend it. Okay. Now, we're actually going to go in with a layer above. Add just a hint of a highlight and some spots. So like there's some highlight there. And then of course there's some highlight there where there's some light. There's actually an under highlight there. And there's also a little bit right there. And what we can do is we can take that peachy color, which it's blended here, but not entirely. I'm actually going to brighten it up just a little bit. And then weirdly enough, there is just a tad of purple or green right here. It's a little bit right there on the edge of the leg. Alright, so there's my draft. Okay, it looks a little bizarre with those spots of, but if you blur it just enough, it will lightly blend some. We don't need much blending, but there you go. So that is booty. Oh, nope, that's the sketch layer. So then this is the booty slash back leg. This is booty slash back leg detail. Here we go. All right, so there's those. You know what I could also do is I could go in and go ahead and do this leg, because this leg does have a fair bit of green. Why are you not? Because it is blurring. I am stuck in the blur. I'm in the blur. And then it actually goes out and then goes in. And it is two-toned, so that pink is right about there. So I'm actually going to swap it. That pink matches that pink. Draw from the colors that you have established. Get that layer. And then get in here. And it goes all the way up here. And it actually goes all the way down there. Swap it around. And then he's kind of got a nubby up here, his bone structure. Doo 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 doo. La da 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 da. And then I'm actually gonna pull. It up. I want a little bit of a cooler tone for the shadowing. slight definition line right there. Doesn't have to be too much, because we will circle back to that when we get to the front part of the leg, which is next. Okay. There. Now we will do the feetsies. The feetsies. I don't really like how that one came out, but I'm gonna go with what I have here. So, I'm actually gonna do that brown. Go ahead and get in between the fingers first. Technically, this is part of the stalk of the plant, but it is such a fine detail in here, might as well. Might as well. Okay. The reason I did the dark on the same layer as I did the hand is because if they blend, it's not that big of a deal necessarily, because, you know, this is a shadow, and that's okay. They can blend, and then you go in with a layer above to add some more fine detail. So like here is the tip of his finger, quote unquote, and that's okay. Turn my sketch back on so I can kind of see where this is supposed to go. Okay. Zoom my picture in a little bit as well. So then I can go in with a secondary layer above it, grab my highlight color, because there is some light over here on that foot, that knuckle, and there's also some over here on the underside of the foot. In fact, I need to drop it more into the gray. Swing it over there. Oh, I don't like that color. This needs to be more on the cooler side. There we go. Okay, so that would be the right foot. Well, actually, I'm just going to put front foot. Front foot. And then this is front foot detail. Okay. Whoops. There's my sketch. So I can see what I'm doing. We're going to go up one layer. Now this part of the foot is very pale. I'm going to go ahead and double check my sketch layer here. There's actually not much green on this part of the foot, because then it transitions into a gray like that. So this part of the foot is actually even paler. And it goes all the way down, all the way down, down to here. And then I have an advertisement on my music. Okay, and then we're going to swap over to, I want to use that one, but I'm going to drag it into the grayer color because it is, so here is the grayer color. Grayer color. And then we get into the darker color. Where it hides behind the other hand. And blends. color. I do want some jagged edges, just a little bit here. Okay. La 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 loo, la la loo, la loo. Okay. Alrighty. La la loo, la la loo, la la loo. La loo. Okay, this is big back leg. And then this is big back leg detail. Ah! Cannot type today. All right. Now we are going to go in here and do this leg. La la loo, la la loo. La la loo. That color. I need that color. That got too blurry. Drop it down. There we go. Okay. Now let's take the sketch layer away. So then we're gonna go in here. I'm actually going to grab that color so I can get it in the background. And in between these webbed fingers. Okay, so then we're gonna go over there. I want some detail here. Oops. Get this down to a finer brush pen because there is this kind of like that. And there's some detail there. Actually, kind of want that color. Swing it around into the blue. Up the pen just a little bit. Just because it does need to exist, I'm gonna go in here with the back. It's gonna be on the same layer as this back leg, but I do need some detail here on the underbelly. And then I'm gonna grab just a little bit so I can get in there with that fine detail. There we go. He's actually turned out to be quite a nice frog. Nice frog indeed. Blur that some. Need some more blurring. And then I'm actually going to go in here with that. And where's my purple? Let's bring some purple into it. Get some detail in there. There we go. There's some damn shading, for lack of a better term. I do apologize for the swearing. Because sometimes you just need some freaking shading. And he actually has some over here as well. Give it that definition. And some up here. I wasn't really happy with this hand. It didn't come out to my expectations, personally. And then I'm actually going to extend. There is a divot in the wrist. There is indeed a divot. Not much, not as significant as there was, but there was. And then go in. Okay. On that detail line and get that definition in there. Okay. For now, I think the frog is done. Like, that's really all I want to do right now. On the frog. And I do want the frog as the upper layers. So I'm actually going to drop my current layer, which will be this layer, all the way down to the bottom so it's behind all of this stuff. And then I'm actually going to go with that color. And I'm going to scroll it down. Whoops! It went wild on me. It went rogue. Give me that blur. I want my blur pen. Blur pen. Yes, there we go. It's a gradient without being overly gradient. Okay, back to the crayon. And I know this is just the stem, but I am trying to treat it with love. And I do kind of want... It does have just a little bit of a blue. Oops! It went wandering. I want the stalk to be more warm toned, since the frog is primarily cool toned, especially on this side of his body. Or pink. And since there is a lot of body parts here, there's actually more shadow. So we're gonna go in there. We did the primary so we can get that blend. And then there's some shadow here around the feet. And then some more that will blend in.
So you want to start a
Over
business.
here.
You might think you need a team of people and
And
fancy
then
tech
I have an
skills,
advertisement,
but you
so we're gonna skip that. And then we're gonna go back over here to my art. Oh, I have a viewer. Yay! I see you there, lurking. You're amazing, in case nobody's told you. Drop in here. Grab some of that highlight up here. Okay, so this is stem. And I'm actually going to go in with a secondary. This is going to be stem detail. Okay. And I'm actually going to pivot this to that. Zoom it in just a bit, because I want that detail up here. And along this edge. Meanwhile, that edge is actually ever so slightly right there. And we're going to go in with that dark just to kind of accentuate that shadow around the feet. And right here. And then there is just a little bit down here. Not a horrible amount. Okay, now we're gonna move up. Oh, my hip popped. Ah, now up here, where it starts to get into the bloom, that's where you can really see the fuzzy detail of the stem. And the best way to do that is very similar to what I've been doing, which is to do a primary color, primary blurring color, do an additional layer on top, but that's when you add the brush spacing in order to get that detail, okay? But in the meantime, we're gonna start with the primary layer. Primary layer is actually about the same color as his face, which is fine because there is not much of this color right here. So it's totally okay. Nobody panic. And his hand actually goes around the edge of the stalk. So the fact that it's just kind of there is not a big deal. Blend it in there. Again, this is just the primary base color. It's okay if it's one color for now. Leave a little spacing, it won't hurt. Then we're gonna go in here with some yellow, because there is some warmth on the highlight side. And then we're gonna go in here with that color, lighten that side up, blend it in some, blend it in. Light color here, blend it in, blend it in, blend it in. Okay. Now we're going to go into the detail. We're going to make the brush wider. See how it does the detail here? I do want that color. And then just in fact, you can even make it bigger. extra highlight in those spots. Okay, now before I go too far into this, I'm going to drop it down. I do like about 9 or 10 for the thicker brush spacing. I need to add just a little bit of detail here, just a hint. I'm adding it on the base layer first, so I can get some of that shade around that foot. There's also some over here. And then just a little around the hands. And around that thumb, quote unquote, where it's gripping. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Now, show me my sketch layer so I can kind of see the curve here. We're going to keep with that base color here. Actually, I don't want that color in between his fingers just yet. That is a shadow, so we're going to leave it for now. Yuppa, 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 yuppa. And it can fan out a little bit, not gonna hurt nothing, because we will get into that later. Okay, so we're gonna grab the dark. That's what I want in between those fingers. We'll work with it from there. There's some secondary shadow there. And some dark shadow there because it's underneath the base of that flower. And then I need the yellow or the highlight. Turn the sketch off. There's some fuzz at the bottom of it. It's fine. Oops. Go with the grain. Go with the grain. Go with the grain. Now up here is a little bit different because this is where it fans into the flower, so you can kind of flick it a little bit. And then you might want to span it out just a little bit. Hard to see, but it's there. Oop. Narrow my brush. Give me one of my darker colors there. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go into the flower. or at least the base of the flower here. And then this is all that primary green, well, sort of. So we will start with the base here, where it kind of goes up like that, like that. We'll make this fatter so it doesn't take as much time. Remember, flow with the grain. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go in with a darker color. And we're going to add some depth in between. This is layers of layers and layers of stuff. Remember, this is the base layer. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Where is my lighter color there? I want to transition to the dark because there are some layers of dark in here in between, which is fine. Drop it down to a narrower brush. Some of those defined details. La, da, da, da. Da, 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 da. Here, give that blended shade on that lower tier to give some of that more oomph. Okay. Alrighty. And now it is time. So this is the base. And then this is the base detail, so I don't lose my spot. And then we're going to add a layer. We're going to go in here with, this is the petals. Alright, are you ready? Are you ready? This is going to be fun. Why? Because I get to use a really fat brush. And I'm actually going to drop it behind the base. Why? Because there's going to be some in the background. And the funny thing is this is actually quite flat. So this is just the base here because they're gonna fan out on top of that. Okay. Now, warm it up. Warm it up to a darker tone. We're gonna add some shadow here. And a couple of spots. Narrow down the brush. Alright, so there's the dark. And now we're going to go into the white because the sun is coming directly from above-ish. That's why it's like on the top of his head and things. We're going to go in here with some white. Are you going to pick up the white? Or are you just going to be a pill? White is a hard color to add, but we'll get there. Don't panic. Don't panic! Because this is how we get the colors on the underside of the plant. And then we'll go in with a secondary layer on top that is primarily white. Okay, so now this one is going to be the additional petals on top of things.
Subscribe is how you stop explaining the same
And now we're
thing
gonna go
over
into
and
the
over.
stupid
Watch this.
commercials.
It'll change your life.
Okay. And then because I need to be able to see this color, I'm actually going to go in with a darker color like there. Because I need to be able to see my brush. Now I can see. Shadow in there. Fear not the shadow. The shadow. The shadow. Ah. Oop, I need to move my over here. These are supposed to be kind of like raindrops. back in. Just a hint of a darker color to kind of give those. I mean, they don't have to have much because again, that sun is hitting straight down, but it does help in some capacities just to have that hint of shadow. Oops, a little overshot. And then, because I can, oops, I'm just gonna up one more layer. Actually, let's be smart. Let's be smart. Add one layer, but we're putting it on top of the base because it needs to be. And we're going to add a single, wrong color. I need it lighter than that. I hate that, so we're going to delete that. Never mind. We're going to pretend that doesn't exist. Okay. I know, it seems very discombobulated when the top meets the bottom, isn't it? So I'll tell you what, let's grab some of that dark. We're gonna go down here, fatten up that brush, add some more shadow. Okay, now I get to play with blobs. I love a good blob. And then we go to that tippy top. And we get our crayon, ultra fine, ultra fine. And we're gonna zoom out. Damn it! Pardon my language. I hate the button sometimes. just a little bit. And we're gonna tint it with some blue. Foreground, foreground, foreground. Some of the background behind the frog. Okay, I call that done. Not bad for an hour's work. We're gonna drop in here. And now we're going to... Whoa! No, 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 no. Let's make that just a hint fatter, just a little bit. Here we go. Alrighty. I think we're done. Our frog is finished. Yay! And just a little bit of detail here. Just a little bit. Not to be much. Alright, we're gonna file, we're gonna save, and we're gonna call it done. I hope y'all had a great evening and enjoyed my frog. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye!